children of Gaza. For now, history will remember us all for the lives we failed to save. But many more lives remain to be saved. Let us not fail them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Permanent Observer of the Observer State of Palestine, for your statement. I will now give the floor to the representative of Israel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe this chamber and the UN would benefit from something basic, a full and honest overview of the current state of our region. Let's begin in Gaza, where Hamas continues with its deprived tactics. 50 innocent people remain held hostage. Israel has been working tirelessly to bring them home. We have made compromise after compromise, crossing lines no other nation would consider. But Hamas has rejected each and every offer. Even as we speak, we receive rejections from Hamas. For Hamas, the suffering of its own people is their greatest weapon. The longer the misery continues, the longer they can feed it into their propaganda machine. I am sure that all of you will address the humanitarian situation. But I will remind you, you all must focus your pressure where it belongs, on Hamas. They are the ones who are saying no to the offer. If you don't believe me, you can ask the US, Qatar, Egypt, the ones who are trying to negotiate. They are rejecting every offer. In Lebanon, the new government has made promising statements about reform, and we are listening. But Hezbollah is busy attempting to rearm and reassert itself in southern Lebanon and Beirut. We have seen this movie before. We know how it ends. Israel will never allow this to happen. We will not permit Hezbollah to rebuild its terror infrastructure on our northern border. In Iran, the genocidal regime that spent 12 days launching missiles at Israeli civilians is trying to restart its nuclear program. Since today we have the so-called privilege of the presence of Deputy Foreign Minister Rabadbi here today, so let me ask him directly, what is your plan now? Will you continue with your murderous agenda? Will you keep running toward a nuclear bomb? Will you keep expanding your ballistic missiles for attacks on civilians? Will you keep pumping money into your terrorist boxes? You don't need to answer, because we already know it. Now is the time for action. Sanctions must not be lifted, they must be imposed now, on the regime's economy, on its terror network, on its ballistic missile program, and on the individual leaders who sit in Tehran and plot murder as their foreign policy. In Syria, jihadist forces have traveled south of Damascus to the Druze city of Suwaida, where they have committed unimaginable atrocities. Hundreds of innocent men, women, and children now lie dead. I have personally received hundreds of calls from my Druze friends from Israel, terrified and horrified by what is happening to their people. Their family ties cross the border. Their brothers and sisters live both in Suwaida and in Israel. For us, this is personal. It is Israel's sacred moral duty to stand by our Druze brothers and sisters in their time of need. We are guided by our unshakable moral compass. We will not stand idly by while innocent minorities are slaughtered, just kilometers away from their Israeli family members. So yes, the Middle East today is embroiled in chaos, but is also filled with opportunity. There is chaos for the innocent hostages still trapped in Hamas's tunnels. chaos for the civilians and minorities in Lebanon and Syria still facing terror, chaos for the entire region as Iran continues to push the world to the edge. But there is also opportunity, because the forces of darkness have been weakened. Hamas has lost much of its terror infrastructure and its senior leadership. Hezbollah was crippled by Israel's operations last year. Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile programs have been set back in ways that were once thought impossible. Israel is making the Middle East safer for everyone who values peace and calm. In other words, we are doing the work of the United Nations. While Israel dismantles terror networks and protects innocent lives, what does the UN do? It clings to its political agenda. It protects its bias. It defends the agencies that have long abandoned neutrality. You don't need to look far to see this bias in action. Just look at the statements and conduct of Tom Fletcher and his agency, OCHA. Too often, Mr. Fletcher has forgotten or decided to ignore that his statements have consequences. He has repeatedly abandoned his sacred responsibility to act without bias, choosing instead to fuel a political campaign against Israel. Several weeks ago, Mr. Fletcher claimed that 14,000 babies in Gaza would starve to death within 48 hours. That statement was false. It was baseless. While he quietly walked it back, the damage had already been done. But with another lie, Mr. Fletcher has not walked back: the accusation that Israel is committing genocide. He knows it's not true. He knows it. There are facts, international law, you have to prove intention. Yet he said it anyway. That word carries more weight than any other accusation. To use it falsely is to dishonor the memory of real genocide victims and to endanger more lives by fueling hatred. It is not too late to correct the record. Israel demands that Mr. Fletcher retract his statement, publicly, unequivocally, and immediately. But this is no longer just about one official's reckless remarks. His responsibility has infected OCHA from top to bottom. Let's start with the data. On May 6, OCHA published figures claiming to show civilian casualties in Gaza. Officially, just 2 days later, those figures were reduced by over 10,000. Not by 1, not by 10, not by 100, and not by 1,000, by 10,000. Just like that. No explanation, no accountability, just a quiet adjustment. No, 10,000 less. As if the original numbers weren't already plastered across headlines worldwide. OCHA has built its reports almost exclusively on data from Hamas-run institutions. There is no independent verification, no cross-checking, no effort to distinguish between civilians and terrorists. Every casualty is listed as a civilian. This violates the UN's own standards in every other conflict. But when it comes to Israel, those standards disappear. At the same time, OCHA has actively undermined Israel's humanitarian efforts in Gaza. It tracks only UN-coordinated aid while ignoring the thousands of trucks of food, medical supplies, and fuel that Israel, the private sector, and other partners have delivered. OCHA has undercounted over 13,000 trucks. That's a deliberate choice to misrepresent reality. Perhaps most disturbing, Israel has uncovered clear evidence of Hamas affiliation within OCHA's ranks. So when you combine all of that with Mr. Fletcher's repeated falsehoods, you are not looking at a humanitarian agency, you are looking at a propaganda machine. I have said many times before,